1,000,000 voices. Hi, I'm Katia Dopos, and this is 1,000,000 Voices, where inspirational speakers share their stories and champion organizations that are making a difference in the world. I'm not going to ask what is your favorite picture, because then again, there are so many wonderful photos to select. But it'd be interesting to learn, Chris, perhaps if you could share a behind-the-scenes story of a picture that was particularly interesting or challenging to take.
Yeah, I think good question, Katie. I think it's always difficult to answer, as you say. What's your favourite picture? And I think one of the things that I can sort of say on that topic is that for lots of different moments, take the royal wedding of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, for example. I took a photograph of them emerging from Westminster Abbey into the light, their first moments as a married couple. And that is one photograph, but that was a period of sort of a few months, which I remember so vividly because there was so much excitement around it. That one moment is watched by over 2 billion people around the world, and to have like a front row seat to such a huge momentous event that the nation is behind was so exciting, stroke nerve-wracking, but it's to sort of be a part of that is incredible, and I was very much working as a team with other Getty Images photographers who were covering different aspects of the wedding. But my point is I remember that whole period so much, the build-up, the recce's, making sure I had all the right equipment, the right lenses, working with the Getty Images technology team to make sure that we had the right cable set up under the road so the images could whiz away from the back of my camera and around the world within minutes. It was just a really exciting thing to be a part of. So I have such incredible memories of that. I think, so that was sort of one of my favourite, and I suppose that's one of the more sort of standout images in the collection.
And they are looking straight at your camera.
Yeah, I think that's probably there's a small group on that memorial just opposite the door, and I think I was quite lucky to be on the right. So that was like I say, there's always an element of luck in these things, which is great when it all comes together. But there's other photographs. There's the Prince of Wales' 70th birthday year was also a very special one for me. I was lucky to work on a project with the Prince behind the scenes, documenting different sides of his life, and that sort of told the story of the Prince at 70, from feeding his chickens first thing in the morning in Highgrove to travelling on the royal train, and these sort of previously unseen sides of his life. And it was an incredible privilege to be a part of that project, and I absolutely love working with the Prince of Wales. I've been lucky to travel around the world with him for sort of almost 17 years now, so it's he's got a great sense of humour, and it was a really special project to be a part of. And it culminated in a family photograph at the end of the Cambridges, Sussexes, and the Prince and the Duchess, and that was just at the time hugely exciting to be taking that photograph. And of course, it winged its way around the world and was on quite a few front pages. So I've got really fond memories of that year in particular. But there's also some of the quieter memories, working with Prince Harry's charity Sentebale. I've been going there for many years and got to know so many of the staff and the children and watch them grow up, and some of those photographs really stand out in my memory as really special ones. So yeah, I think the gist of it is there isn't a favourite one, but just so many just different periods. And actually, I think the general theme is I love it when I have the opportunity to get out and about and work with various charities, be it Tusk Trust and documenting the Duke of Cambridge collaring Mact and then the largest bull elephant in northern Kenya. Those kind of adventurous assignments are the ones that always stand out to me. So yeah, combined with the big historic ones as well. And I suppose that is what's so special about the royal job. You get out and about. There's a real mix of different styles of photography, from portraiture to being in the field and a sort of more photojournalistic approach. So I love that variety whilst maintaining the theme of capturing the royals. So it's why I think I'm really lucky to work in this area.
One of my favorites is the Queen feeding a banana to an elephant.
Donna, the Asian elephant at Whipsnade Animal Park. Yeah, that was a funny one actually, and that's getting photographed from the Queen is always something that just never gets boring. She's got an incredible aura and a presence, and that was an unexpected engagement. When I woke up that morning, I knew I was going to be photographing the Queen at Whipsnade Animal Park, but I didn't expect to photograph her feeding a banana to this incredible beast, Donna, who reached out her trunk to try and sort of snaffle the banana from the Queen's pocket. And of course, the Duke of Edinburgh was in fits of laughter as well, enjoying this moment. So yeah, that is one of the more unusual pictures in the collection.
It is a great photo, and I guess it's good to have a sense of humor as well. But Chris, here at 1 Million Voices, we always ask our guests to share their top tips for someone who's just starting out. So what would be your advice for someone who wants to become a professional photographer?
Yeah, well, I love being a photographer, and I think I'm incredibly fortunate to work in the area that I work in. And I suppose over the years, I've had quite a few people in work experience with me, and I love speaking to young people, chatting to people who are passionate about photography. And I think, most importantly, that is key. You've got to have the passion. You've got to really care about photography and really enjoy it. And if you don't have that, and it's not for everyone, then it's probably not the career for you, because it can be incredibly challenging, it can be tough, and you have to be committed, and you have to be really happy to push hard in the direction you want to go in to achieve your goals, I think. And I think that's really key. That's one thing I've drawn from different people I've had in work experience. And I think if that is true, and if you tick that box and you are passionate, I think get as much experience as you can, chat to as many people as you can. There's so many different areas of photography, and what I generally see is that you kind of have to specialize. There are job roles where you've got a sort of more expansive brief, but generally people specialize. So maybe have a look at what area you're interested in, see if that's something you could pursue. Chat to as many people as you can, chat to food photographers, motor photographers, sports photographers. Find out what their day is like, find out what their life is like, find out what equipment they use, soak up all this information. I think that's just really important to do that. And you might discover it's not for you, and you might think this is incredible and this is what I want to do, because it is, more than anything, a changing environment. And I've watched as things have changed over the last sort of 10, 20 years. Of course, we see lots of people with smartphones these days, and digital technology has gone from, being, 20, 30 years ago, a new thing, to something that we all use every day. And some of the newest medium format digital cameras, they just produce the most mind-blowing results. So you've got to be on top of technology. You've got to be passionate about technology. And you've got to be a people person. I think that's so important. It's all about how you interact with people, and I think that's really a key part of the job. I mean, I personally have never been incredibly techie. I think I know the basics, and I am passionate about cameras and digital and tech, but not as much as certain other people. But it's something you've got to be aware of, and it's something you've got to enjoy. But I think you just got to have that passion, and that's just really important. But chat to people, do some work experience, and hopefully you'll come out still as keen to be a photographer.
We all have challenges and obstacles that we have to overcome in our careers. And also there are always situations where it doesn't matter how much we have planned ahead, how much we have prepared ourselves, things just don't go according to plan. So, Chris, how was it for you as you were progressing in your career? You already mentioned that you have to improvise a lot. So, for instance, do you remember any situations that you thought that everything was under control and then all of a sudden, things were just going wrong and then you had to improvise and just make the best out of it?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Katie, and I think there have certainly been situations where you've had to improvise. I think that is sort of teaching yourself and soaking up as much information as possible means that when you do come to those challenging situations, hopefully you're a little bit more prepared. You understand how that works, so you understand how you can adapt to kind of to work better in that situation. I think one thing I found from a sort of more generalized point of view, it's really important to come up with ideas, and ideas can be incredibly important. Especially if you sort of maybe work in areas that's things could just easily tick over in the same way. But if you try and sort of think about something a little bit different, try and disrupt things, come up with an idea, you might think it's not going to go anywhere, but then it's worth exploring. Send that email, send that letter. You might get the rejection, you might not, but it's worth doing. And there's been a few times in the past where I haven't sent it, but generally every time I have come up with an idea and sent it, it's at least, at the very least, it's helped me sort of understand something a little bit better, even if it is a rejection, and it's led on to another idea. I mean, the book being a good example, that was a project, and I was lucky to have a lot of help with it, and from people at the Royal Photographic Society, and then it sort of snowballs from that point. So I think from that point of view, if you've got an idea, no matter how sort of wacky it might seem or out there, give it a go, and it might pay off in the long run. At the very least, you'll learn something. I think with regards to sort of technology and kit, is there something specific? I don't know. Often I find equipment not working in the way I want it to. Very occasionally, you find your kit isn't in your bag that you thought you put in there, so you have to adapt in those situations. So many times kit is broken on Royal tours. I've been on tours where my laptop's gone down, and I learned from that to make sure you take spares of everything on every Royal tour. Laptops are broken, numerous lenses are broken. I mean, most recently I tripped up coming out of a van in Japan and smashed a camera and a lens.
Were you okay at least?
I was just about okay, but then I only had one long lens left, and I was working with another photographer. I had to try and persuade him to take all his photographs from about 50 meters back because I only had a long lens left because I managed to smash the only wide lens I had. So, you find yourselves in jumping out of cars, planes, helicopters, and things do break occasionally. So you have to try and figure out solutions for these things, and that's definitely a challenging part of the job. But hopefully you can sort of adapt and survive, so to speak.
And what do you do to relax, Chris? What do you do in your spare time? And because I think also creative people often, even when they are relaxing, they are looking for inspiration. So where do you seek inspiration from? Do you look at different forms of art, for instance?
Yeah, good. That's another good point, Katja. I think there's sort of two sides to that. I think firstly, and it may sound silly, but I absolutely love running, and I find I actually slipped a disc just before lockdown in my back, and I've done it before. I suppose this is what 15 years of carrying camera equipment around the world does. But
I have also slipped discs, and it's horrible. And I don't have to carry heavy equipment with me, so I can imagine that carrying heavy equipment doesn't help.
Yeah, you know how it feels. And this was particularly frustrating because normally it takes a bit quicker to get better, and this took 3 months to get better, and I couldn't run, and I found myself, really getting a bit depressed because the running is kind of what keeps it's not just about the physical side of it, it's about the mental side of it very much so, and I find that really helps me focus on work. When I'm on Royal tours around the world, I also find it a really useful way of seeing a bit of the country I'm in, because obviously you're very busy, you don't have a lot of free time. If you can get up at 6 o'clock and go on a quick run, you get to see a bit of where you are, and it just focuses you for the day ahead. And so running's always been a really important part of my life, and I found it difficult in lockdown when I couldn't run, couldn't go to the gym. Yeah, so it was just it reflects on all other areas of your life, I think. And I'm not sure if you had the same experience with your back, but it's when it was a bit more long term, I found it really difficult. So, and of course, I'm always sort of looking for inspiration on Instagram, following other photographers, people that work in other areas of photography, and trying to keep your work fresh, kind of do things like you mentioned earlier, working on different projects. And I've been lucky with this current situation. It gives you an opportunity to look at other projects, look at other ideas. And I was down in Cornwall recently with the Duchess of Cornwall. She was launching an air ambulance helicopter, and I thought, what else can I go and do in Cornwall? What else can I shoot that is interesting and inspiring? And I spent the afternoon with this amazing, the Women's Surf Club of Polzeth. And it's this incredible group of people who go out surfing once a week in Polzeth in Cornwall. And, to photograph that, which is a totally different thing to my normal day's work, was just really special. And to capture a sort of photo story of this inspiring group of women, one of which drives all the way from Gloucestershire, 3-hour round trip to get to Cornwall, just to go surfing, because it means so much to them. It was really interesting, a real eye opener. And I suppose just shooting other projects just means your royal work is a bit fresher, a bit more interesting, and you're constantly thinking out of the box. So yeah, it's I'm really lucky that I'm able to do that as part of my day job.
Do you also look at historic photographs? Are there any photographers from the past that inspire you?
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I've, especially when it comes up to big sort of landmark events, like royal weddings and births, and I've often gone, I mentioned it earlier, the Getty Images archive. We have this amazing archive, and they've got this absolutely incredible historic collection of royal images. And I suppose one thing that's unique about being a royal photographer is the history that is, entrenched in the job. And, I watched year to year the royals growing on the balcony at Trooping the Colour, and to go back and look at these historic pictures from events like this, from royal wedding, is really special. And to look at the way things were done in the past, and there's some truly beautiful pictures from obviously household names like Snowdon and of course Cecil Beaton, and actually looking at some groundbreaking photographers who started looking at the royals in a slightly more relaxed way. It's incredible to see how royal photography has developed over the years, and people that have broken down barriers and done things a little bit differently. And there's some truly beautiful shots, even just sort of slightly closer to home. I took over when I started doing my job. I sort of took over from a chap called Tim Graham, who was a royal photographer for 30 years with Getty Images, and he created an incredible archive, and there's many of photographs you would recognise of the sort of Diana era. And I learned a huge amount from him, and it was very inspiring to see how he worked and how he sort of built his career over the years. And that was really interesting. I think it's really important to learn from people that have done the job before you. Learn as much as you can, and try and take that forward into your own world, I suppose.
Like I said, history in the making. You are also going to influence many future generations of royal photographers, I'm sure.
I'm not sure, but hopefully, it is nice to see, and your photos pop up. I'm getting to the point now where I've been sort of doing this for quite a while, so I get to see moments of history, and it's great because you can just go on the Getty Images archive and look back sort of 10 years, and I always look at things this day 10 years ago for Instagram and things like that, and it's fascinating to look back and see things, and it makes you feel, God, I'm getting old now when you see some of the pictures from sort of 15 years ago.
So Chris, as we talked about before this interview, and I want to thank you for your support to the 1 Million Voices project. The idea here is also to raise awareness and champion organizations that are making a difference in the world. And you mentioned your work with charities. I know you are passionate about it, you're a big supporter. And today you have selected an incredible organization that is truly making a difference and helping many people in Africa, Sentebale. So, Chris, could you tell us about Sentebale, the work that they do, the services they provide, and also your personal involvement with the charity over the past few years?
Of course, and thank you, Getty, for this opportunity to talk a little bit about Sentebale. And it is really something that's quite close to my heart. I'm lucky to have worked with them for well over 10 years now, and many of your viewers may know Sentebale as Prince Harry's charity in Lesotho. It was actually started in 2006 after Prince Harry spent a gap year in Lesotho, and he was kind of blown away by the people and the countryside. And for many people that don't know, Lesotho is a small landlocked country in southern Africa, and it actually reminds me a little bit of Wales, where I'm from. Very mountainous, and up in the mountains, it can get incredibly cold, incredibly harsh conditions. And more recently, Sentebale has expanded its work to Botswana and Malawi, and over 45% of the world's HIV positive children are in Lesotho, Botswana and Malawi. So incredibly challenging situation that they face, and they have done for many years. And whilst they've done some incredible work, there's still a long way to go. And it's been really special over the years watching the charity grow, watching their work develop, and watching the people that they've helped. And it's just so lovely. I've been going back there year after year, and I've got to know some of the children, watch them grow, and that's been really special. Many of you know people like Prince Harry, the Duke of Cambridge. They play a lot of polo. A lot of that money that they raised through things like polo went to build a Mamahati centre, which is a specialised centre to support and help residential camps for children struggling with HIV. And Lesotho's done a huge amount to help those. And I've been out to some of these residential camps and sort of seen firsthand the amazing work they've been doing. More recently, a lot of it has been about sort of youth-led advocacy to help, the challenging and the vulnerable people of Lesotho. And we've watched the work expand, as I mentioned, into Botswana and Malawi. So, they've been doing some great work. Prince Harry founded the charity with Prince Sesu, who is so passionate about helping his country in Lesotho. And, they've just been doing a huge amount of good work. So thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about Sentebale. They've got a huge amount to do. They've been reaching over 4,000 children each month in Lesotho with their camps, and over 1,000 children in Lesotho and Botswana. So that's been incredible. But of course, they've got a huge new set of challenges with COVID, as a country does. So they've adapted to sort of face those challenges head on, but there's a lot of work for them to do. So it's great that they've got some support.
The question remains, where do we start? And the answer is, we start with who we are, what we want for ourselves and for our loved ones, and how humankind has come truly far. We have what it takes to do what's right. A life is created from a life that was created. This is the potential and the limit of our might. But while we're here, we can fight.
And you also organized a workshop with the children. So tell us a little bit more about your experience working with the children.
Well, a few years ago, I took out some cameras to the children. We did some photography lessons. It's a residential camp I mentioned that generally goes on for a week. The children take part in a lot of different activities, and what's very important for those children is to break down barriers, and above all, that they all sort of gel together and bond and get on. And I ran some photography classes, and that continued with the staff running photography lessons for the kids. And they used instant photographs to make a newspaper talking about their week at camp. And it was great. You saw a lot of them coming into these classes, a little bit nervous, a little bit shy. And then what it did was break down those barriers. They'd come out a lot more relaxed, and they just had a good time. And it was great to see. So that was just a tiny thing that I helped out with a few years ago. But I think it's been great to see these things firsthand and watch them develop over the years. And I haven't been out for a while, but it'd be good to get out there as soon as possible, as soon as we're able to, when this current situation sort of moves on to the next stage.
And how can we help and support this wonderful charity?
Good question, Cassie. Well, of course, you can visit the website at www.sentebale.org. If you just have a quick look at the top right-hand side, of course, you can donate, and I'm sure any donation would be incredibly welcome. Most importantly, there's also a button that says keep in touch. And I think, finding out as much as you can about the information, educating yourself into what they do, and what they're working on is incredibly important. You will see there's some great resources for finding more out about places like LESOTHO and the work they're doing in Botswana and Malawi. So first stop is sentebale.org, and I know they will appreciate any help you can give them.
Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing the information about Sentebale. We invite everyone to visit their website and also to follow Sentebale on social media and to support this wonderful charity. But thank you so much, Chris. This has been truly special. Thank you so much for making the time. I know how busy you are, and it's been great. And I hope to see you soon under different circumstances in person. But thank you so much. This has been really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Well, thank you for the opportunity to chat. It's been really special, and it's such a great idea and initiative. And it's been lovely to talk about the weird and wonderful world of royal photography. So thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you for helping support Sentebale. It really is an incredible charity. So thank you, thanks, Katia.
Thank you.